Hi, my name is Elana and I'm the marketing manager here at Church House Westminster. Today we're in our virtual studio, also known as the Abbey Studio, and I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Conroy. Mark, why don't we start out by you telling us who you are and what you do?
Well, hi there, Elana. Lovely to be here. I'm actually a London Blue Badge tourist guide, and that means I've studied for several years, taken rigorous exams to become an official London tourist guide. I'm also an actor and a writer and a presenter as well. So all of these skills come together to entertain and inform people from all around the world. And I personally work in French and English, but we have a team of Blue Badge guides who can provide services in all different languages.
Brilliant. So, you and I have been talking quite a lot about the reopening of events and the restarting of events and how we can tell the story of Westminster, our favourite neighbourhood, as events reopen. So, especially in view of corporate groups and incentive groups coming to London. Now, I know we may be a bit biased being based in Westminster, but what would you say, what makes Westminster so unique in terms of other London neighbourhoods?
Westminster is just the heart of everything in the capital. It's 1,000 years of history. So there's going to be old and new and something that appeals to everyone. And of course, Westminster Abbey, right beside your office at Church House, has been the site of coronations, including Queen Elizabeth II in 1953, royal weddings, including very recently William and Kate in 2011. But if we go back in time, William the Conqueror was actually crowned in the original building on Christmas Day 1066, although on that day, most other things around the area were closed for the Christmas holiday, I believe. But if you go just beside the Abbey, you'll find St. Margaret's Church, and that is the church for politicians. And politicians have a big impact in the area because across the road from the Abbey is the Palace of Westminster. Now, that building's been a royal residence for 900 years, but it is today, of course, home to government. It's the House of Commons and the House of Lords. And I can take you on a wonderful guided tour through that building, following the route that the Queen's procession pursues during the annual state opening of Parliament. And you can also have corporate events inside the building and sit on the terrace and look at the view along the River Thames. And of course, most famously, the clock tower contains that bell, Big Ben. But if you then go into Parliament Square, you've got the statues of the great and the good, and they include people like Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill, and more recently, a lady added to the collection, Millicent Fawcett, who was a suffragist who pursued the vote peacefully. And then if you cross the road, you come to St. James's Park. Now, we're very lucky in London in that we are blessed with parks, and a huge percentage of London is green, and that's very unusual in an international capital. But just off of St. James's Park, we have Horse Guards Parade, and that is where we have the daily changing of the Horse Guards. And very importantly, in June every year, the royal family attend what is the Trooping of the Colour to celebrate the Queen's official birthday in that parade ground. And of course, 1 million people fill the streets of London at that time. But go back to the dark days of World War II, and between Horse Guards Parade and Church House, where you're based right now, we have below ground level, the top secret cabinet war rooms. And that was Winston Churchill's office in the Second World War. And very close by, we have Whitehall, government, and of course, all the excitement of the River Thames.
Wow, that's a mouthful. But you know what I love about it? It ties back to Church House in such a magnificent way because, as you may be aware, the Houses of Parliament actually sat here at Church House during large parts of World War II. And the Prime Minister of the times, Winston Churchill, delivered some of his most famous speeches in our Memorial Hall. So that brings that whole history alive. And as the other thing is, this building was built for the Church of England, the Synod, which takes place twice yearly. But every 5 years, the Queen opens Synod. So once again, that's that link back to royalty. So all in all, a very, very good combination. So when we think about events restarting, and obviously for some time it will be hybrid and then moving on to in-person events, what kind of options would you be able to offer corporate groups and incentive groups that are heading this way in order to make a really bespoke experience possible for them?
Well, first, in terms of venues, nearly all of the places I've mentioned can close down to the public and open up to private groups, like a dinner in Parliament with a private tour of Parliament from a guide like me, or taking over the Cabinet War Rooms and having a 1940s dinner dance inside, or cocktails in the cloister of Westminster Abbey. And remember, the chapter house of Westminster Abbey was the House of Commons as well at one time. So nearly all of these buildings linked together. But what we can do as guides, we can take all of your delegates on private walking tours or in small groups around the area with a themed walk, or inside specific buildings for a tour. And of course, we can bring in a number of guides in all the different languages that are required. So it's an option for a walk, a sightseeing visit, an interior visit, or something more general with a party atmosphere.
And then linking back to where we are at the moment, you can do these tours virtually as well, based on what the interests of the groups are, or in a hybrid fashion, which we know you have done previously and continue to do throughout the pandemic.
Yes, sorry, Elana, I was going to say, eager to tell you everything. Just during lockdown, we've moved on because we weren't allowed to do outdoor tours. So we've been doing virtual tours online. So we bring together photographs, clips, videos, and live presentations to bring a building or an area to life. And just recently, I've been working on a Royal Westminster tour, funnily enough, which will be a Zoom for a big corporate client.
Oh, that's a great scoop. And actually, to be honest, I've attended some of your virtual tours, and it was really, really engaging. And I love the fact that at the end of it, there's a question and answer session as well. But the content of it was superb, and it's that I think that visitors to this area will enjoy very, very much. So Mark, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been so insightful, and we look forward to working with you as events start to reopen. We will post this video on it's on YouTube with the contact details, your contact details on there, and there's also a link on our website with details on how to contact you specifically to arrange a bespoke and engaging tour, whether it's virtual or in person.
Thank you so much, Elana. Look forward to seeing you and your clients very soon.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye-bye now.